welcome to Beer and Food episode number 13 of
Brutal Battle.
It's been over a year since we did the last. Yes. I mean, these aren't super often because, there's a lot more that goes into it. We have to find a more interesting angle to it because now this is the 13th one, so we've done a bunch of stuff. So this is going to be like the one we did for New Year's a few years ago, where we had an entire meal that we kind of evaluated and had the beer with and everything. So we are going to eat this entire meal while we're doing the beers on the podcast. So we're going to cut this episode up a little bit, actually. So literally, we'll finish the meal. We're not going to do it on podcast. So we're going to try the beer, try the food, then try the beer again and see, how the beer influences the food, see how the food influences the beer, and kind of talk about that. And then we'll stop recording and we will finish it off. Also, there's a video that is involved with this as well, because this is, I guess I should backtrack. This is the Oktoberfest dinner that you could pick up and have at your home by True Respite Brewing, and they are out of Rockville, Maryland.
I believe so.
And they did it in conjunction with Brew, which is a restaurant. They're like Kitchen and Sudhaus is what they call themselves. So they provided a German 4-course meal that you could pick up. And then there was a mixed 4-pack of beers that goes with it that was paired up. So,
well, you could do 1 meal and 1 4-pack, or you could do 2 meals and 1 4-pack.
Or 2 meals and 2 4-packs.
Right.
We went with the 2 meals, 1 4-pack. Just because we share beer all the time and we're totally cool with that. And we're mainly just going to use it on podcasts. So obviously it's Oktoberfest themed, so it's German courses with German-ish beers. So should be interesting. I'm excited for the food and the beer, to be honest.
Should be good. What was our last beer and food pairing?
I am not 100% sure what that was.
I'm curious to see what it was over a year ago.
I don't even remember. It was March of last year. It's all I know. I don't remember what that was. I'm sure someone listening will be like, "Oh, I remember that." It may have been. I think it actually may have been another cheese one.
Oh,
I think it was actually. I think it was another cheese episode. So what was the pricing on this, by the way?
This was we got the 1 4-pack and 2 4-course meals, and it was $49.99.
Which I feel like is a good deal.
I thought it was reasonable.
I mean,
I think you get a decent amount of food
and beer. I mean, you get a decent amount of beer to go with that food. So, yeah, it's interesting. Also, the pickup was easy. You just went in, you told them your last name, and then they just brought the food and the beer out to you, and you just left.
Yeah.
It was very quick. The only issue that we ran into was there were supposed to be instructions on the best way to reheat each of the courses, which is common for these type of takeaway multi-course meals. But there were no instructions. So we're just going to kind of wing it as far as heating things up. They did send an email apologizing for that, but that is on Brewbelly, in my opinion. I really don't think that True Respite was supposed to type up the instructions on reheating the food that they didn't make.
Yeah.
So that's on Brewbelly, in my opinion. Although I will say I am interested in going to Brewbelly because looking at their normal menu, they do have things like our first course here and some of the other courses we're going to have. But they also have a very large poutine section. And by large, I mean like 5 or 6 different poutines.
5 or 6?
Yeah.
That is large.
Yeah. I've never had poutine before. So I would love to try poutine. So I definitely want to go there for that. Also, their tap list is all local.
Oh.
I mean, it's not all Maryland, but there's something from like Virginia, but it's local-ish. So,
okay.
Yeah. So cool. Sounds like a cool place. We'll have to go there sometime.
Yeah.
But let's experience the first Brewbelly food we've ever had, and let's experience some more True Respite beer, but this time with food.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into the first one. So what is our first beer, Rebecca?
The first beer is by their kind of offshoot brand called Bright Spot. Bright Spot Beer Company. It is their Helles Lager. It is 5%, and it's a 12-ounce can.
12-ounce can. The other ones are 16. So this is, I think that was their plan with their Bright Spot brand.
Yeah, they're all
12 ounce. Because they're going kind of like the flagships for that. So yeah. Cut my nails recently. It's a little tough. All right, so let me pour Rebecca first.
Yeah.
Because I'm remembering how to do this now. Being courteous.
Oh, man, what a clear beer.
That gets me a little bit hard.
What?
Clear beer, baby.
Clear beer.
All about it.
So yellow, so clear.
Yeah. Very yellow, very clear. Looking nice. There's some nice bubbles just popping up off the bottom. Smells
so crisp and clean and light and refreshing. Hay, a little lemon, a little honey, just that type of nose.
I agree. For the lemon aspect, it's like lemon peel for me because of the bitterness at the end of it. But yeah, it smells very crisp, very clean, very vibrant with all those aromas you were just saying. I agree with all of that. It smells so good, crisp, clean, refreshing. Kind of reminds me of their Bear beer, which was was that a Pils? It was in there. They have a line of beers that they're all like named after different animals that are different lagers for the most part. So just lighter beers.
I went in and tasted already. It's so good. It's so clean and so refreshing and crisp.
Oh man.
Just like the nose. There's a little more honey on it.
Yeah, I agree. There is a lot more honey than there was in the nose on the flavor, but it's good. Yeah. You get that little bit of a hay note. You get a decent bitterness on the end for what you were smelling. It's not like a super high bitterness.
Yeah, no, it's low.
More present than what I was perceiving in the nose. Get that lemon peel for sure. It's very nice. It's very clean. It's very vibrant. It's got a more serious mouthfeel than I was assuming.
Yeah, I like it.
It's clean and easy and refreshing, but it's also more substantial than you would think. And it has a lot of robust flavor. This is a really nice lager.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
I really dig this.
Okay, so and what are we eating, Carlin?
Let's try our food. This is a giant pretzel.
Yeah.
You can't do wrong with me when it's a giant pretzel.
And we have beer cheese and mustard.
I'm going to try the pretzel on its own because I think it's coated in butter.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Salty, buttery, pretzel, bready goodness. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I don't think I've ever had a soft pretzel that I haven't enjoyed, so it's kind of hard to mess that up.
I'm going to go in for the cheese.
And apologies to people who don't like the sound of people eating on podcast. That's what this is about, unfortunately. All right. So you went into which one first? Beer cheese?
I did cheese.
Oh, you did cheese. Okay, I'll do it just to match you.
That's good. There's a little spice to it.
It almost has a bit of a pimento cheese taste.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In my opinion. I do like that little spice kick at the end. It brings a whole new dimension to the pretzel itself. It's good. You know, I'm still getting that bit of butteriness. I'm still getting that saltiness. But there's that really nice cheesiness with a kick. I'm not really getting beer out of the cheese.
I think it's a beer cheese. Did I make that up?
No, I think it... Oh, actually. Duh. I have the menu.
I went in for the mustard. Mustard's good. It has
it says beer cheese. Yeah.
Okay.
Beer cheese.
Does it say anything? It's just mustard. Doesn't say anything about the mustard.
Just grain mustard.
Grain. Okay, I was just going to say.
It just tastes like...
There is grain in the mustard, so you get that little spice kick to it. It's good. It's not overly spicy, though.
Yeah, that's good, too. Okay. So since the last thing we just did was the mustard, let's do another bite of the mustard and pretzel and then go to the... Oh, no. Just go straight to the beer now.
Yeah.
After the mustard. Oh. So to me, that takes the honey down.
It does.
It cuts the honey down. It actually kind of lightens the body of the beer a little bit, too.
Makes it easier to drink.
Yeah. It definitely makes it easier to drink. It really downplays a lot of the flavors, and what's around most at the end is a little bit of that hay note, and the lemon peel is still relatively strong, but it really downplays that sweet honey.
It's good. It's a good first course.
Yeah.
Nice and light.
It's still
and easy.
it's still really good. I think I prefer the beer on its own, but I also think that it pairs well with the mustard pretzel. So now let's try it with the beer cheese. So pretzel and beer cheese, and then
I didn't realize I was supposed to save some in my glass.
You may have more. There you go. Pour for yourself. Okay. I prefer the beer cheese on the pretzel, by the way. Okay, now the beer. This doesn't pair as well, in my opinion. I think it actually kind of hinders the beer. It's making it taste just a little bit astringent, in my opinion. I'm tasting, where I wasn't tasting the alcohol with the beer by itself or with the mustard, with the beer cheese, I'm tasting the alcohol more. That's coming more to the forefront, and it's thinning the beer out too much, and it's downplaying a lot of the other flavors as well. I don't like that pairing for the beer. For the beer, I don't like that pairing.
Goes better with the mustard. But
let's try the beer and then go to the food and see what that does. So there, a little hit of the beer. We'll just go with the beer cheese since that's the last one we did. Do you think it does anything?
I don't.
I do. I think it neutralizes the kick that cheese had. I think it kind of eliminates the kick, and it just accentuates the cheesiness of it. It's just more like pure cheese driven.
Okay.
So I think I like it both ways. I like the things separate in that sense. But let's try it with the mustard then. I have a feeling this will work better because it did before. I feel like that kind of makes the mustard a little more vibrant.
I was going to say the same thing.
That's interesting. I didn't see that coming. I think it downplays some of the heat that Rebecca was saying you're getting from like the grain in the mustard, but it accentuates like that pure mustard flavor and the tang, that like tanginess that mustard has. So I like that. I really like the way that this beer goes with the pretzel and the mustard both ways.
Makes me like the mustard more.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that. I don't like the way that it pairs with the beer cheese.
I don't mind it. I think it's fine.
They diminish each other. It's not a huge deal.
Yeah,
but they diminish each other.
Subtle difference.
Yeah, we're really digging deep on these. Yeah. So, okay, well that's the first course. So let's go ahead and get to the second course. And we're back, but to you guys, we never left.
Do.
So we did watch the portion of the video that had been uploaded to YouTube that's done by True Respite and Brew to kind of break down everything because it's like a guided beer dinner. So, Rebecca, what did you pick up from it?
So we learned that the mustard that we had was made with 3 different types of mustard and a little bit of horseradish.
Which makes sense for that kick at the end.
Spice we were getting. And then the beer cheese was made with cheddar cheese, cream cheese, and smoked Gouda.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, the beer cheese, I liked it a lot. So much so that the leftovers, I kept it. Because I was like, we have pretzel nuggets at home. So I'm just going to pull that out later and just dip the pretzel nuggets in it and eat that.
Don't we still have frozen soft pretzels?
No.
Oh,
we're out of those.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So we only watched that portion and we just paused it. So then we're going to do this next course with the beer, and then we're going to pause, and then we're going to watch that portion, pause it, and then come back here, and we can report back.
A lot of things going on.
There's so much going on. So much going on.
Okay, so our next beer.
The next beer for this second course is their Whitetail, which is a Hefeweizen. It's in a 16-ounce can, and it is 5.5% alcohol. We've not had this beer of theirs, although it's always been there when we've been there.
We haven't had any of the beers that we've had or having today.
Correct. Yeah.
They're all going to be new to us.
I think the reason we've typically skipped on the whitetail is just because we're typically not huge on hefts.
Yeah, and usually they have a lot of other styles we want to try.
Yeah, there's that too. There is that too.
Although, this is a style where I'm like, I don't really like it. And then every time I have it, I'm like, I like this. Why do I not drink these more often?
Like, I like this more than I thought I did. Well,
yeah.
Part of it may be that when we're not that big into the style, so when we are having it, it's probably from a better brewery who would do a good job.
Yeah.
That's when we're taking a chance.
So this is not
pretty orange.
Quite as clear as the last one.
But pretty clear.
Pretty clear. And yellow-orange.
Very orange. All right, smell. I mean, typical Hefeweizen smell.
Yeah, it's a mild smell, though.
It is mild, which I'm happy about. You are getting the banana. You are getting the clove to it. The clove is a little more than a banana. And I'm happy about that because the banana-iness of Hefeweizens is a lot of what turns me off typically because I don't really like banana flavor in a lot of things. So that's one of the reasons I'm not huge on it. Slight aspirin note in the smell, but that's pretty typical for Hefeweizens, at least ones that I've had.
It's kind of all I'm getting.
Yeah. Slightly medicinal because of that aspirin.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, it smells like a hef. It's not bad. For a Hefeweizen, I mean.
It's really light.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not as clovey or banana.
Yeah, I like that about it. There is a honey aspect to it that was kind of in that bright spot lager. There's a honey note, and then there is a bit of the banana. It's very low, and then that clove is higher than the banana, but also not crazy. So I do like this as a hef because it's a very dialed back hef. There are a lot of hefts out there that just go like really hard on those banana and clove flavors. I can't do that. This is more my speed.
Yeah. It's light and refreshing at the same time.
It is good. I like it. I legitimately like it. I do get a little bit of that kind of medicinal, like aspirin note, but once again, that's pretty common for Hefeweizens. That happens.
Okay, so what are we eating?
So we have 2 items for this course, and one of them is red cabbage, which is something that's very typical for traditional German meals. The other thing is a bratwurst with fall spice bratwurst, and then the sweet red cabbage. So we're going to need to do each of these. So let's try, what are you trying first? The cabbage?
Yeah, that's what my fork was on.
Okay, that makes sense.
Tastes like sweet red cabbage.
Yeah. It is sweet. It's got a bit of an apple taste to it. I think maybe that's how they get their sweetness. There's a little bit of like a vinegary acidity to it as well. I mean, the good thing about... I like it
more than I thought it was going to.
Yeah. The good thing about red cabbage like this is it doesn't taste like cabbage. There's enough other stuff going on that doesn't really taste like cabbage, because cabbage is gross on its own.
Yeah, you gotta...
I think this is good.
Cook it with something else. Yeah, I like it.
I really like that apple note in there that's bringing the sweetness to it. So that's good.
You want to go back and try the beer now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let's do the beer. Ooh.
Really mutes all those flavors.
Yes. It takes the perception of the body down. It increases the bitterness and the alcohol level at the end.
I think it increases the banana.
I'd agree with that. It does increase the banana. I think that works out great.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a little water and I'm going to go back. Do, the beer to the cabbage.
Oh.
Okay. Now that I cleanse my palate, that hef is tasting a lot better. Now to the cabbage after this. Ooh. I feel like that increased the sweetness.
Yeah.
I like that.
Sorry if you hear my fork on my bowl.
That's fine. I like that.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
Okay, so I don't like what the red cabbage does to the beer, but I like what the beer does to the red cabbage. Increasing that sweetness, but also maintaining that kind of tangy vinegariness as well. So, yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay. So the next food item is the fall spiced bratwurst.
All right. Let's do the bratwurst on its own. Oh, that's good. Very nice and like unmistakably porky. Mm-hmm. It's a little salty, but that's kind of what you expect from a processed meat like this. It's not too salty, though. Spicing, it's not crazy. It just adds like a nice kind of accent to the beer. Or, not to the beer.
To the bratwurst.
To the bratwurst. That's good. And it's got that... I love that things like this give that kind of like fatty coating in your mouth from the fat of it. I just love that. Okay, what do you think on this? What do you think it does to the beer? I think it mutes the beer again.
I think it mutes the beer. I think it makes it it mutes the beer a little bit, but it makes it less crisp.
I agree. Yeah. It thins out the mouthfeel, but it also mutes the flavors. And like you were saying, yeah, I think it tastes less refreshing and crisp. So yeah, I don't really like what that does to that.
Okay.
But it's also not catastrophic for the beer. Like, I kind of feel like the cabbage was.
I don't think it was.
Okay. Now the beer. Go to the brat.
I don't really think it does anything.
So, for me, it increased the perception of the salt aspect of the bratwurst. It makes it taste more salty, and it kind of it cuts some of the fattiness of it as well. So, also not great, in my opinion. So this is interesting where I don't think it works well, the bratwurst and the beer. I think that the beer does some good stuff to the cabbage, but I saw Rebecca do the 2-in-1 bite of the cabbage and the bratwurst, which I'm excited for that. So what do you think about it?
Well, it's a good pairing with the cabbage and the bratwurst.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good pairing, and I think it works well with the beer together. I took a bite of that and then went back to the beer.
So, the sweetness and vinegar of the cabbage cuts the saltiness of the bratwurst, which I really enjoy. That helps a lot. It also cuts the spices a little bit.
A little bit.
But not too much. Okay. So now with the beer, what do you think?
I think it worked.
What way?
I think it's just kind of all the flavors kind of go well together. Like the banana and the clove kind of marry with the spices of the brat.
So for me...
And the vinegary of the cabbage.
For me, I think it's okay for my personal taste. I think it does increase perception of the alcohol and the bitterness a little bit, but it's not bad. Like, it's not too much to the detriment of the beer. I do think this is another case where the beer on its own is better, but it's not too hindered by the food. So that's good.
Yeah, I like it.
Let's go the other way. Works. Other way, beer to the food. Did you do beer to the food?
I'm doing it now. I gotta pour more beer.
Sorry to make you pour beer. So, I like this. I really think the beer helps that.
Yeah.
I really think the beer helps that. So,
it kind of just amps up all the flavors. Just everything feels more vibrant.
I think it makes things more harmonious in the flavors, Where the bratwurst on its own was like kind of too salty and you're getting a certain level of the spices. Then you add in that cabbage with the sweetness and that bit of a vinegar. It softened that saltiness a bit and brought the spices down a little. Then you have the beer and then go to that bite of the cabbage and bratwurst. And I feel like what the beer did is it brought the saltiness down more, which was nice. It left the spices at about the level that the cabbage took it to. And it just made it seem like the flavors of the cabbage and the bratwurst were marrying together better. I don't. And it gives it more of like an umami type sensation in your mouth. That works really well, man. That beer really does increase the experience of that food. Wow, that's nice. All right. Well, that's that one. We'll report back if we hear anything interesting that they said in the video about this course and the beer. And we're back. And Rebecca, did you get anything out of the video for that last one?
Not really. They were just talking about the play off the clove in the beer and the fall spices in the bratwurst. It was kind of the big take-home message, which I kind of think we got. I think we kind of got that play.
And another thing they suggested was doing some of the leftover mustard with the bratwurst, which we had already been done with our mustard, so we couldn't do that, but it probably was good.
Yeah.
That'd be my guess.
I mean, the bratwurst and the cabbage is good by itself.
Cool. So I am ready to move to the third course. So let's go to that. And this one has the cutest label, you would say?
Because the beer's called Otter, and there's two otters hugging.
Yes, this is Otter. This is a Schwartz beer, and it is 5.5% alcohol. And I like a good Schwartz beer. Which, you don't get a lot of Schwartz beers at all. So, yeah. My pours have been on point, by the way. In case people didn't know or wanted to know.
Yeah, people are dying to know.
I'm sure. Long-time listeners. Maybe. Okay, so, oh my gosh, it looks like a Schwartz beer. It looks dark. Actually, I might as well just turn some light on.
Yeah. I mean, it could be like a porter.
You want that one on? Yeah, I mean, it's got a bit of a head to it that's lightly tan. So, yeah, that tracks. Ooh, it's got more chocolatiness than I would assume.
Very malty.
Yeah, I assume there'd be that maltiness to it. Schwartz beers, I don't usually get this level of chocolatiness on the nose. That's surprising in a good way. But it also smells kind of like light and crisp at the same time. So you definitely know it's very lager.
Right.
So like a chocolatey lager. Yeah. There's a little bit of like a chalkiness on the end of the nose.
Yeah.
Yeah, it smells good though.
Yeah, it does.
I'm ready to go in. Very easy.
Yeah. A little ashy.
Mm-hmm. A little ashiness, and that chocolate's coming off as like a kind of diluted dark chocolate because there's a decent bitterness sitting at the end of each sip, and that's kind of going with the chocolate, making it very kind of dark chocolatey. This is a good, pretty clean, pretty crisp Schwartz beer. That's solid.
Yeah, good.
Okay, I like it.
Okay, so, what are we eating?
Food. So we have two. That's right. Let me get some water. So we need to introduce the two items of food for this course. And that is pork schnitzel with dark lager gravy and warm potato salad. Okay, so which one do you want to hit first? You want to do the potato salad first because we did the cabbage first on the last one? All right, let's go with the potato salad. Now, I'm a stickler on potato salads. A lot of potato salad out there sucks.
This one does not suck.
This is good. Actually, this is very good. Is there bacon in there?
I think there's bacon.
There's bacon.
Yeah. I think that's where that smokiness is coming from.
There's a good amount of green onion in there, too. There's a mustardiness coming through. It's got a nice, vinegariness to it. It's slightly sweet. It's creamy. Mm-hmm. The proportion of what I would consider like the dressing to the potato is a good level. Yeah. Because you get those ones that get kind of soupy.
Yeah, they're just swimming in dressing.
This is actually an excellent potato salad.
Very good.
This is an outstanding.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to the beer.
The bacon flavor just persists through each taste, and that's awesome. Man, that's good.
I think it takes the chocolate down.
Yeah, it definitely downplays the chocolate, increases the ashiness, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I think it still tastes good.
Yeah. I think with all these, even though we don't love what one thing does to the other, I think everything still tastes good.
Yeah, it still tastes good though. Okay, so let's do the beer, then back to the potato salad. Okay. That potato salad is awesome. I love that potato salad. That is maybe my favorite thing right now.
I think it just amplifies everything.
For me, it downplays the sweetness and increases the vinegar.
Yeah.
Totally.
And
it kind of downplays the bacon too, which is kind of a bit of a bummer.
I feel like it makes everything more vibrant though. I like it.
I think I like these two things separate from each other better. But they're not bad together. Okay,
now the schnitzel.
Leaving that unbelievably delicious potato salad behind. I will finish that later. I had a date with you, buddy. All right, the pork schnitzel. It has gravy, but I'm doing it on its own first. It tastes like breaded fried pork.
Yeah. There's not a lot to it. I hate to say this, but it feels like it could be from a frozen meal.
Yeah. Now,
I'm a little underwhelmed.
Let's just roll right into it with the gravy, because that's obviously how it's supposed to be. Obviously, the gravy's doing a lot for it.
Yeah, I just love gravy.
I'm not a gravy fan, typically. It's giving it a fattiness, an extra fattiness to it.
It's real rich.
It is rich. I think it's downplaying the fried flavor of the schnitzel, which is good for me because the fried aspect of it tastes a little bit like their oil that they use to fry it in is a little bit old. I kind of taste like maybe there have been onion rings done in that recently, because you can taste a little bit of that. So it's helpful that the gravy is downplaying the fried aspect of it. It's giving it a little bit of a tang to it, which I enjoy.
It's a little tangy. Okay.
I mean, that's a good gravy. It's also not overbearing.
I'm going back to the beer now.
Because one of my problems with gravies a lot of times is it gets really murky and kind of too fatty and overbearing. This one does not. It's kind of like a good medium. All right.
I think it takes all the flavor out of the beer.
I don't think so. I think for me, it accentuates the ashiness a little bit, but I think it leaves the chocolate alone for the most part.
Okay.
I think it tastes a little bit more crisp, in my opinion, actually. I actually think that the gravy and schnitzel doesn't do anything to the beer, really. It all that much, for me, personally. Okay, so now the beer to the food.
Beer to the food.
There's a lot of now here. Okay. I like that.
It works.
I think it kind of, like the Hefeweizen did to the bratwurst and the cabbage together, I think it blends the flavors better.
Yeah, they seem a little more harmonious.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I definitely think the Schwarzbier enhances the schnitzel and gravy. For sure. And it's very tasty, but oh my gosh, this potato salad, dude. Mm-hmm. I just want a tub of that on standby.
It's really good.
That was killer. Okay, So we're going to watch our next section of the video and we'll report back to you and then do the dessert.
Yeah.
I think Rebecca's most anticipated of the courses. All right, here we go. So, any information from the last portion of the video?
I think just kind of what the gravy was made of, which had some cherries in it.
Which is, I can see that influence because of the sweetness that's in there. And I did at one point when I was eating feel like I had like a chunk of something. Okay. So I'm assuming that was actually the cherry. So good. That was a good addition. We actually couldn't even finish that.
So much.
It was really large portion.
We're getting full.
Very large portion.
And I wanted to save room for dessert.
Yes. So that is what we have in front of us. So let's get into the beer first. And this is a final beer. It is their Lagerhosen, which is a Märzen style, and it is 5.5% alcohol. And we had a Märzen recently.
Mm-hmm. And that one was good. It was
that one had, that had pretzel in it as well. So we'll see. This one should be different. There you are, my friend. Looking like
amber.
I assume so.
Clear.
Oh, it's actually lighter in coloration than I would assume for a Märzen. Märzen usually is a little more brownish than this. This is actually very orangey. Huh. Okay. This is a lighter colored Märzen, but very nicely clear. I like that. Smells very malty, like very a Märzen would. I mean, it just smells like malt.
There's a malt, and there's definitely a sweetness.
Yeah, slight caramel. Very slight caramelly.
That's kind of it.
Yeah, a little bit of bitterness in the nose as well. But yeah, I mean, if you've ever smelled any Märzen before, there's not a whole lot coming through in the nose. It's just like malty sweetness. That's about it.
That's kind of how it tastes, malty sweetness.
Yeah.
I like it.
A decent amount of sweetness, actually. I have a feeling this beer's going to get destroyed by this dessert.
You think so?
Yeah. I have a feeling after this dessert that this beer is going to be, like, almost undrinkable.
We'll find out.
There's a little bit of a graininess at the end of the flavor, at the end of each sip of this beer, that I like. I like that little graininess is peeking out. But yeah, it's like malty sweet, a little bit of caramel, and grainy at the end.
Okay. And what are we eating?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I have that information. Mm-hmm. We are eating Rebecca's favorite course, always, which is dessert. And it is a fried apple almond strudel with honey caramel. And we're not doing the caramel separately. It's already on here.
Yeah,
so let's go ahead and try it. It was presented like an egg roll, basically.
Yeah, it looks like an egg roll.
So just so people know. The caramel's really good. The caramel's really good. I think there's too much dough.
There's a lot of dough.
The dough to apple filling ratio is really off, in my opinion.
But it's still very tasty.
Yeah, it's still good. And that honey caramel is really nice. That's a really nice sweetness that's just kind of really helping this out. The apples are good. There's like a cinnamon with the apples, you can tell. But yeah, I think I like either less dough, more apple filling, or both. Actually, probably both of those things, in my opinion. Okay, that's just my taste.
We'll go back to the beer.
All right, back to the beer.
Tastes like all the flavor out of the beer.
It tastes like nothing. It literally tastes like nothing. Like, it's just like some bitterness.
Yeah.
Yep, this is exactly what I expected. That's the problem. When you have a lot of beer paired with desserts, if there's just any sweetness in the beer, it's going to be gone after you have that dessert, because desserts are almost always sweet. And they're usually overly sweet, like this is, because, caramel's a very strong, sweet thing. It's very good, but it just kills everything in the beer. It's a terrible pairing for the beer.
Okay, so we'll drink beer and go back to the food.
Yeah. This could help. We'll see. Okay, so the beer's tasting a lot better now.
I'm perceiving more honey in the caramel.
I agree with that. I'm also perceiving more apple to it as well. It's increasing the apple. It's increasing the honey in the caramel. It's actually good for the dessert.
Yeah.
It's just, the dessert's bad for the beer, but the beer's good for the dessert.
Yeah. That's kind of been a common theme.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, all of these courses have worked in one way or another. So that's good. All right. So now that's it.
Yeah.
We're fine. There's no fifth course, unfortunately. So we're going to go ahead and watch the last portion of the video and report back if there's anything special on that. And then we'll do our final ranking and everything. So stay tuned. And we're back. So anything from the end?
Not really. Just that they kept saying how the beer should taste like a caramel biscuit. We were getting the caramel. Didn't necessarily pick up on that biscuity characteristic.
Yeah.
And the strudel had almonds on the video. We didn't get any almonds on ours.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, maybe the almonds were supposed to be inside. I couldn't perceive that. Yeah. So didn't really get almonds. So I don't know. All right, so we are done with this now, and we are going to rank the beers, obviously.
Okay.
Although, overall, what did you think of the experience?
It was fun. These are always fun. It's always fun to kind of try beer and food and beer. And...
Oh, yeah. So I want to ask this, before we get to the final beer ranking, what was your favorite food item, just on its own?
Potato salad.
Yeah. I got to go potato salad, too. It was phenomenal. Overall, the food was good. I do think the dessert was pretty disappointing, unfortunately. But overall, I think the food was quite good. And what was your favorite pairing? What was the best beer and food pairing?
I think it was the bratwurst and the hef.
Yeah, the bratwurst with the cabbage and the Hefeweizen. Yeah, I think that did a pretty excellent job. Yeah, that was my favorite by far as well. That worked extremely well. Okay, awesome. So let's go into what's your ranking for this? Do
we have different rankings?
We do.
Okay. So my ranking, my number 4 is the Otter, the Schwarz beer. My number 3 is the Whitetail Hefeweizen. My number 2 is the Lagerhosen Märzen. And my number 1 is the Bright Spot Helles Lager.
So my 4 is the Lagerhosen Märzen.
Oh.
My number 3 is the Otter Schwarz beer.
Okay.
My number 2 is the Whitetail Hefeweizen. And my number 1 is the Helles Lager, the Bright Spot Helles Lager.
So number 1 we agree on.
I considered the Whitetail for number 1, though. It was close. It was close.
I really like all these beers, though. They're all like light, refreshing, and crisp and good.
I will say, though, because we talked about it, as much as I'm not into Hefeweizens, the fact that I considered that Hefeweizen for my number 1 slot says a lot about that beer. Yeah, it really, really does. So this is fun. I think it's awesome that they do this. They also have been doing a beer and chocolate pairing thing that is set up very much in the same way, where they have the video you can watch and you come and pick it up and you have the beers and the chocolate and everything. So maybe we could do that in the future.
Yeah.
Because that would be fun. But hopefully people liked listening to this. Sorry you couldn't enjoy the food and beer at the same time. I know I hear all the time from people when they're listening to the podcast that they can't listen during work because it makes them want a beer while they're at work.
Yeah.
And I would assume that's a little bit dangerous.
Bad problem.
Since a bunch of people work from home now.
Yeah.
So you could drink beer during work, although you should not. So, all right, this was a lot of fun. You guys know all the stuff. BrutalBattlePodcast@gmail.com. Brutal Battle Podcast on Instagram.
Yep.
Untapped, Rebecca C. and Carlin C. Go to archive.org or brutalbattle.com if you want back episodes. And rate us and review us on whatever podcatcher you use. iTunes helps the most, but also word of mouth if you can. And you can. It doesn't take much. But appreciate everyone who does listen. This has been a lot of fun. We appreciate Brew Belly. We appreciate True Respite. And until next time,
keep it brutal.